Hello everyone. Today is the 15th of January 2025. Welcome to another talk with Alison. Let's make it like more like traditional talk with Alison. I mean, like we have already done the nodal axis, and it was, I think, great at least for us. And I hope that you could catch up with that. In any case, the true node already moved, but the people who follow the mean node will still would be moving in 29th of January. So you can always catch up with the video either in my YouTube channel or on Alison's YouTube channel. You can watch in any of them. It's the same video. And today we are here to talk about Neptune in Aries. But before that, again, for the people who didn't follow us before, let Alison introduce herself a bit, then we will dive into the Neptune in Aries.
Yeah, hi Terry. Thank you for that. I'm an astrologer. I've been an astrologer for quite a long time now. I've had astrology in my life since I was in my 20s, so that's quite a long time. And yeah, you can find me on YouTube. I have a website and things like that. So really excited to be here with Terry. Yeah, I we seem to bounce off each other really well, so that's good for us.
Yeah. So I mean, like today, what we are going to do is like, as the Neptune has a Neptune. First of all, let's explain what is it in the natal chart. If you see Neptune, what is it? I mean, like what kind of information, like expression that Neptune can tell us in general. And after that, I think we can go into the all this transition period. So if you want, you start. What do you say? I mean, in general, what do you the keywords that come to our mind when we say Neptune?
Yeah, so the first ones that come to mind are things like compassion and spirituality, um, imagination, and ideals in the sense of dreams. It's not ideals in the sense of intellectual ideals like Aquarius. It's more in the sense of the kind of world that we dream of is how you see Neptune, I think. Um, and it traditionally rules the 12th along with Pisces, along with Jupiter, and the two are connected with retreat as well, retreating from the world to maybe explore spirituality. More spirituality is a Neptunian word too, I think. And then the sea. I mean, it's the god of the sea, so water is very Neptunian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like when we think about all the oceans, etc., and then all the tides and everything coming together with the water, it's very with the Neptune. And also, I think that sometimes what comes, of course, the images, and also, I mean, like they tend to, even though Venus is like much related with the arts and aesthetics, etc. But when we think about Neptune, as we talk about images, we are talking about like photography, the cinema,
Mm,
etc. All
yes.
the visual arts that, yeah, that we have a vision we see, and also, of course, there is the boundaries. There are no boundaries. Like if you think like as you say, ocean, endless. We don't see the end. I think Neptune
Yes.
is like this. That's endless stuff. I mean, there is no infinity. I think that comes through that, and then you just, I think, put down all those boundaries, up and down, and then push them forward. And sometimes I think the sacrifice, etc., that comes also with Neptune, especially I think during the transits. No, you
Yeah,
sacrifice something to
definitely.
do something else. So
Yeah.
I think it's just I mean, general. There can be people. Oh, there is that keyword, etc. But it's like so many expressions. So I mean, these are general, most I think striking keywords that can come to our mind. But what about the uh, when we think about the cycles? I mean, Neptune is an outer planet,
Hmm.
so that's quite slow moving. And what about the cycles of that?
I'm not,
How much time it takes, I mean, for
are you
Neptune
testing
to
me? Is it like um,
I'm just trying to give information, like, so I pass it that I don't talk too much.
I think it's 168, but I need to check that.
Yeah, it's on average 13, 14 years. Of course, it depends, I think,
Yeah, so
on the
it stays
sign. Yeah,
about 14 years in a
yeah,
sign.
yeah,
But I will now Google that, Terry, and I'll come back to
yeah.
that. But the idea of boundlessness, actually, I thought was really interesting. You were saying that, and of course, that is a key thing about Neptune. And I think one of the problems when you talk about Neptune, and lots of astrologers do notice this, is that you immediately get confused and you forget things, and then you just kind of you get Neptuned, as we call it, and you just start kind of digressing and just kind of going on and on and on. And I think it's actually no accident that Liz Green's Saturn book is like this big and Liz Green's Neptune book is like this big because you just keep on writing, there's just no stopping it. It has no boundaries.
There's a
And
lot of inspiration, I think that's why, because it's
well,
as you talk
inspiration as
about it,
well. That's a kind way of putting it, yeah.
it's
It's not an
inspiring.
editor though, Neptune.
No, no, no. There is no filters. No, no filters, no
No,
edit.
no, exactly. Yes, exactly. But also, and to bring it back to what you were just saying about the idea of Neptune and film and glamour and of course these fires that have been going on in that kind of zone of film and glamour in Los Angeles around
Yeah,
Hollywood.
yeah,
While
it's tragedy.
Neptune is just kind of about to move into Aries, which is the fire sign, and at the same time the node of destiny, just moved from Aries into Pisces. So this kind of interchange between the two, with them both conjunct, the node and Neptune sort of together there, and suddenly, these terrible conflagrations, and it is a bit like the burning of dreams, the burning of films, the burning of, I mean, and in reality, then it comes back down to it's the burning of people's everyday lives as well, and that compassion that we all feel for them as we watch the television and think, oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. That's a really good point. And yeah, it's a quite a tragedy what has been happening since last year, actually. If you think that all the flooding, etc., first in
Yeah.
Asheville, etc., area, and now the fires in the Los Angeles, I think, yeah, hopefully everyone stays safe and that they have a full recovery and safe recovery as well. I mean, so that's true. I mean, and when we are talking about like Neptune in Pisces at the moment, it's also in Pisces, but of course there would be this transition period from Pisces to Aries, and then it will bounce back, and then it will
Yeah.
go back. So
Yeah.
it's quite a transitional period in that sense. I mean, it's like you're in the water, you go to the fire. Oh, I burned. Then
Yes.
you go to the fire before getting used, and then it's like you are like, okay, okay, now I'm
Yeah.
ready. I feel like that, and then you go back, and then you are saying that, okay, that's what it is, and then I go with it. No, it feels like that.
Yeah, it really does actually. You just kind of dip your toe in and then sort of see how it feels. Except that you're going the other way, so you're actually coming out of the water to see how the land feels, to see how the fire feels, and how that plays out. Yeah, interesting. So that's Neptune, and I was just going to check the length of the cycle just to see where we are with that. Um, and then did you want to look at the ingress chart to have a look at how that moves into?
Yeah, we can share first. Let me find the not the back in areas, but the 2025 first. It will, because Neptune will go into the sign of Aries, which is a cardinal sign and fire sign. For the people that don't know about it, it can be because every type of knowledge people in astrology are will be watching us, so it's good to give those information as well, which
Yeah.
would be on the 30th of March 2025 at 12:58 UK time. And I
Yes.
will share the chart now. Let me go back to the thing. And also I think it's good to point out that, as I'm saying, that people who, I mean, just like astrology enthusiasts, not only professionals, maybe watching us, it's always good to mention that we are talking about something general. I mean, like
Yes.
if you want to deep dive, what kind of an impact Neptune in Aries may have in my life, the answer is not here. That's what we are giving
That's a
is
very good
something
point.
general. If you want anything in detail, we are both practicing astrologers. You say that I like Alison's style and or Teri's style. You can always come to us and maybe deep dive into that in a one-to-one
Yeah,
session.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
not like advertising. It's the reality because what we are talking about is only we are not seeing any personal life here. We are just like saying some general information, but
Yeah.
the impact, because we don't know how it affects your life, where it touches in your natal charts, etc.
Yeah.
So always let's keep that in mind before I start sharing the
No, no,
uh,
that's a really good point actually, Terry, and that is absolutely true. So anything we sort of say does need always to, be taken. If you do want more detail, then we need to look at your chart and see how that works for you, basically.
this is right now. Yeah, that's the chart. I think Neptune in Aries.
Yeah.
Yes, right. You see it, no? You see the chart.
Yeah, yeah, I do indeed see the chart.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
that's the Neptune in Aries. And when we look here, we have the Neptune. If you see my cursor in 0 degrees, it's interesting because it's 0 degrees of the first sign of the zodiac and the first, I mean, like the start point. It's like as if also zeroing everything and like nulling everything and restarting things as well. I mean, it has a feeling like that. And I mean, we are looking at the equal house chart. Of course, here we see Neptune in the eighth house.
Yeah.
Also, we can look into that like that. And there is a um, opposition in the end with the south node and conjunction in, of course they are in different signs, but there is a conjunction of course with all the Mercury, Venus, uh, North Node and Saturn. And that moment also it's good to, I mean, mention that like both Mercury and Venus would be running their retrograde period in the sign of Pisces. So that's a chart like that. We will have this confident and creative Leo rising in the chart, and we will have the this fiery moon that with all energy, all the thing that is ready to start. But you have mentioned before we start to talk, maybe you go with the eclipse that because before this chart, what was happening?
Oh yes, so yes, just the day before Neptune moves into Aries, there is a solar eclipse actually. And we need to remember that this is for Edinburgh actually. So some of these or wherever we actually set the chart for, so it's not
Yeah,
always
of
going
course.
to be.
Of course, I mean, I will, our like angles will change. I mean, like the ascendant will change. Of course,
Yeah,
descendant will change.
so we might not
MCIC
always have
also, they
them.
will not be the same. But the rest
Um,
of them are going to be
could
interesting.
you let me share the screen a second, Terry, and then I'll just
Of
show the
course,
figures. I'll
I
get this.
will stop sharing and I will see if I can also multiple. Okay, you can now. I can share.
Okay, great. And then I'll put the eclipse chart up.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to show you this eclipse, which has actually Chiron exactly square to Mars with mutual reception. So that's across Aries, which is all about our goals and how we assert ourselves, of course, and Mars in Cancer, which is much more about our family and our tribe and how we protect ourselves. So instantly you have that contrast there. And the exact square suggests a sort of challenge between the two, but with a mutual reception. That means that there is some understanding, and there can be it can be worked out, as it were. 9 degrees of Aries is the solar eclipse. So something perhaps being hidden, the sun's being hidden, the whole um, point of the chart, if you like, the solar direction is being hidden there by the moon and will only perhaps later emerge. And maybe it emerges as Neptune moves into Aries and suddenly things become clearer the next day. We've got Mars ruling that eclipse. So something about our family, about our tribe, about our emotions, about how we feel, and about looking backwards into the past with Cancer. I think it's really interesting. And then Mercury moves back to conjunct with Neptune because, as Teri said, it's part of the retrograde cycle. So we've got information, communication with Mercury moving back into that sort of area of sort of spirituality, sacrifice, no boundaries, hard to know what's true, perhaps, in that situation. And then Neptune moves into Aries. And then you start to think, well, maybe we get confused about the goals or something like that. Let's get that ingress chart back up. I'll stop my share again, Teri, and you can
Okay,
put
okay.
yours back up. Thank you.
Oh, okay, here
Yeah,
we go.
interesting.
I think this one is again.
So I
Okay.
think the
Oh,
initial thing with Neptune moving into Aries, Neptune being about our ideals and Aries very much about our goals. It's the end of one era when you move from the end of the zodiac to the beginning of the zodiac. So it's much more than just moving from, I don't know, Cancer into Leo, for example, because of this idea of starting a whole new zodiac cycle with Neptune in Aries, I think.
yeah, it's actually, yeah, that's true. I mean, like, it's like, yeah, you are like, it's like, I mean, like, it's tour all around this. I mean, like, the zodiac is coming to an end, and it will like that the last time Neptune was in Aries was in 1871, if I'm not mistaken. And since then, it's the first time that Neptune will be back in Aries. So it took it like 169 or something years. I mean, like
165 it was, I looked it up.
no, the 165. Okay, yeah, because yeah, that it's 39, 200, yeah, like 164 or something like that. It took that much year. You make the calculation. I'm an economist, but don't bother. So it's like um you have that from starting from 1871. Of course, it took 13 14 years that it finished the cycle, and after that it just went all by the signs of zodiac. It's like cat, and they expressed its ideals, dreams, and everything, and no boundaries, whatever it is. And then it went, and oh, like 2025, it came back and said like, let's refresh ourselves. It's finished, and I went from the deep of the ocean. Now from the toe to the head, actually. If you think that the Pisces is the feet, and you come back to the I mean the head, the areas, I mean, no, that feeling of
Yeah,
like you are coming,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, it's like you are coming to that point, and it should be, I think, in a way it should be refreshing, no? It's like it's a bit getting air also. I mean, like, I'm not saying that Neptune in Aries, because it's I mean, like, in modern terms it's in its sign, but at the end of the day it's somewhere deep. I mean, like, that very emotional, some, there is a lot of spirituality, everything going on, and it's like it's all these dreams and compassion. And also, I mean, like, the Pisces is like wants to give to everyone, wants to include everyone, and it can be sometimes like maybe draining, no? It's like you have to include everyone in your dreams, in your ideals, where you want to
That's
go, all
true.
your images, all your thing. And now with Aries, it's like me, me and my ideas. It's about, it becomes from that, like, the
Yeah.
collective to the back to yourself, I mean, in a way. What do
Yeah,
you
yeah, I think that's a really good point actually, that suddenly focusing on everybody and the ideal of everybody. So now you're actually focusing on you, and it's about, yeah, exactly what you said, my ideals, and that's very interesting. So that there's and what are the Aries ideals? I mean, as well, Aries idealizes, in a sense, the concept of the warrior, I suppose, as well. I mean, about fighting for things. So that becomes perhaps something that's more idealized. Really pushing forward to make things happen in life. And it will be connected as it moves forward with Pluto and Aquarius. So, it's connected to perhaps this new a vision of society that is coming, whether we like it or not, really. Yeah.
Sometimes it can be a bit Don Quixote probably with all the confusion, etc. Like you are just running towards the windmills, etc. There can be that idea also. Yeah, yeah, that's it. I'm going there, but it's like, sometimes maybe we would be running after illusions that we have created in our minds. It could be also in mundane. It could be like that. There are like illusions, and we are fighting for or fighting against that with the Neptune in Aries.
Yeah.
But we always have the chance. I mean, I think to uh, make the fine tuning or corrections maybe in the retrograde periods. Why I'm saying retrograde, because I was reading before we were talking. I mean, like in the last days I was reading some part from Howard Sasporta's The Gods of Change, and he was talking about a client that came, and then it's like the Neptune period, and then he's saying that like it was like that this rising of, I mean, in general, like the Neptune goes, I mean, direct, and in the retrograde period, it's like as if the tides go back, and
Tides
then you are,
receding. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, and you see like, but what happened to that glamour? And then you find yourself like, oh my God. And then it goes back, and then again, like, ooh, like this, and then go like this. But in the end, it was a sun related. I mean, the about the what was happening to the sun, the transit to the sun. But he was saying that it's like, in the end, finding yourself. It's what Neptune helps in a way. I mean, when in
Yeah.
relation with the sun, I mean, like it's like you find oneness, not in the collective. And I think in Neptune in Aries, it could be true also. You find that oneness within yourself, because it's on. I mean, everything starts from us at the end of the day.
That's a really good point, actually. So sort of looking for the God within,
Yeah.
a new idea of spirituality without just kind of, letting it filter out into everything. But suddenly, and that's, that is after all what all the mystics tell us, isn't it? Looking for the God within ourselves, and
Yeah.
that's the starting point for everything. And I think that's really interesting, actually. But also what you said about it being confusing is also a really good point, because Neptune, when it first comes into an area of the chart, it can be really confusing. It can sort of, make you question what direction you're going in, if you're doing the right thing, and also asking you as well, perhaps, if you are being compassionate enough, if you are bringing spirituality and your dreams into this area, or if you're just kind of plowing forward regardless. So it will bring those dreams and that imagination into how we think about ourselves and direct our energy, I think, as well. Yep. Um, yeah, just that really. And maybe people taking control of, their own spirituality, which has been happening anyway. Perhaps people have been moving away a little bit from sort of religion, and a little bit disillusioned with it, as it were, standard religions, as there's lots of problems within all the churches and that kind of thing, and taking control more of their own kind of spirituality, perhaps.
Yeah,
Mm.
which is interesting, because I mean, like, yeah, again, I'm all the time with the quotes and the thing. I was looking at the mundane part, and then I was reading this famous mundane astrology by the uh Nicholas Campion, Charles Harvey,
Mhm.
and I think the Michael Bagent, maybe.
Mhm.
Is it
Yeah.
right? Okay. And then there that I was looking at the mundane level. I mean, like of course we are going to talk more about the individual level more, but it's like Neptune is like, of course, it's like war. There's the glory, but there is also the times of, I think, Neptune, that when you look at the zero degrees, etc., like all the socialism, left wing and everything. Though, I mean, at the moment in the world, we see the rise of the right wing for different reasons, but it can be the case that maybe with the Aries, I mean, it could be maybe go more to all with the combination, of course, with the Pluto in Aquarius and everything. Maybe it can go more to not the sense that we know socialism or communism from the 1940s or that in the 20th century, but it's more like I think maybe including everyone, but keeping our identity. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
well, there's a thought. Yeah, well, that's a positive spin on that, Terry. So, because yeah, the other way of looking at that is not including everyone and just idealizing ourselves and our own thing, especially with that Mars in Cancer there, our own tribe.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so we'll stick with your ideals for the minute there. It's an interesting chart though, because we were saying just before we started recording this that both Jupiter, which co-rules all of those planets in Pisces, including Saturn, the North Node, of course,
I can
and
also
Sun
make it smaller
aspected.
so that people can follow from the grid. I mean, like, of course, we can see from the chart, but to
Yeah,
make it clear, like when we
yeah,
look at the Jupiter and then when we look horizontal or vertical, we see that Jupiter doesn't have any interaction with any of the, let's say,
nothing.
celestial bodies in the sky. There is no touch. I mean, that's a Jupiter wandering around on its own. It's like, oh, I know my own stuff. I
And
mean,
yeah, and Jupiter is our faith, our meaning, where we find growth and expansion. So goodness, and it won't necessarily be in everyone's 11th house, but it will always be in Gemini. So it's about communication in Gemini. It's about finding meaning through discourse, about the stories that we tell and those kinds of things. And it seems it almost as though but of course there's still meaning in these things, but that they're not connecting with anything else in the world. People kind of aren't listening. Mercury and Venus are retrograde. So our communication and our values are in Pisces, so they're compassionate and they're thinking about other people, they're spiritual. They're ruled by Jupiter, so that's the kind of discourse that we have. But suddenly Neptune moves into Aries, co-ruling those planets and the discourse changes and it becomes much more focused, much more, yeah, about our own identity, as you said, and less about others.
yeah,
I
less
think,
about others, but yeah, when I'm thinking about, like, of course, that the Mercury Venus retrograde, it's more like a reflection also, but it's
mm,
a period that you are just like thinking, like, was I
yeah,
thinking too much about the others? Maybe was I too compassionate when I was like, no, I mean, like communicating or like putting people in my thoughts. I mean, like also it's a reflection period that maybe we will end because it will move it at the end of the day to Aries, and yeah, okay, I think that's enough with me. I don't know what kind of things will pass through our minds. I mean, Mercury in Pisces is, I mean, like it's in full detriment, all of them, all of the above. And so I don't think so that it doesn't feel well. It's only brings us more spiritual ideas and the connectivity with a higher purpose, probably. And Venus in Pisces is the same. I mean, it's all, I mean, reflection period, but it's true that Jupiter and uh, Neptune are co-ruling all that kind of, yeah, it's a stellium there. Even we take the North Node out, there's also Saturn in Pisces there. It's they are
mm,
co-ruling that, and it's like actually it's a in a stellium, like in a combination of planets of this communication and the relation and also all this authority and etc. It's like when it is like emotional and all of a sudden they are disposited or ruled by things that are very extrovert actually, that is like the
Mm.
Jupiter in Gemini, air, and then Neptune in Aries is fire. It's like, it's confused.
It is confusing, and there is, yeah, a sense in which there's all the talk, and then suddenly Neptune moves into Aries, and we're like, okay, well, stand up and be counted then, if do the act, don't just kind of sit there and kind of talk about it. But I think as well what you said about, maybe some of us will be thinking, well, perhaps, we actually need to look after ourselves here as well. And, there is too much of thinking about other people, or maybe there's never too much of thinking about other people, but still there is still something about having to look after yourself before you can look after other people. And I think that's what the Virgo Pisces nodal axis tells us as well, that in order to have that spiritual sense, you have to look after the body and you have to look after yourself. There's nothing, in fact, in Earth in this chart apart from Uranus, which is disruptive anyway. Um, nothing in Earth and very little apart from that Jupiter in air. So it's a very kind of intuitive and emotional kind of a chart, isn't it? As you
Yeah,
move
yeah,
forward.
exactly. It's like actually we don't have except the Uranus, which is, I mean, we wouldn't consider probably in the balance in any case since it's an
No.
outer planet, but it's like there is no really Earth. So I think it's a way also, since we have to say that this is the birth chart of a future child, that maybe it could be like there should be ways to find that earth, the, let's say, no earth, but you can work towards that. How do you do that also? I mean, if you think about it, how do you bring that grounding, all that practicality and everything that comes with the earth? I mean, like, that is like a bit calmer, maybe moving much in a slower way, but it's in a way, in a certain, in a good way. So it's like, I think when we think about it, it's like also the chart in general may be asking that, okay, there is this all fire, water, and some not much, except Gemini, actually Jupiter in Gemini, we don't have even air. And then how do we do that? How do we do integrate that communication, the essence of communication, medium, and practicality back into our lives while keeping all this spirituality and individuality together? No, maybe it's a way of
Yeah,
asking that as well.
yeah. Yeah, the idea of keeping grounded actually at this time, and it'll be a kind of a global time because, for the couple of weeks, probably either side of that as well. I think is really important, and finding things that ground you, I mean, and in a sense, that's perhaps what that South Node in Virgo is reminding us as well. And the standard thing to say about that is nature. We don't always have access to nature, but maybe we just have access to a tree, a tree that's in our street or a tree that's local. And sometimes just going and kind of connecting with just basic things like that, things that are in our lives, actually can be really helpful in a spiritual way to keep us grounded and remind us that our roots and the place that we live is in fact the earth, and that's what we need to be taking care of, and our bodies are part of that too. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I mean, if you think that this is the chart, I mean, when Neptune ingress chart, when we look at that, it's just when we look at the sun is 10 degrees, it's like 10 degrees into the, I mean, like astrological spring in a way. I mean, like that the start of the
Mm.
Aries and the astrological year starts, and then we will see the awakening in the nature, all the spring, the blossoms, etc., that are coming out. So it's a nice connection that you say that there is a tree, a local tree, a garden, etc. So I think that grounding could be done through that. And also, I mean, taking air. I mean, air is like not only communication, but sometimes it's like literally air, like going out more, taking that fresh air, getting into the nature, maybe take
Yeah.
some walks, etc. It could be nice for the newborns also. I mean, like instead of staying at home, maybe it's like after they are ready to go out, it's like, that goes that walk, and then the baby and the child can feel, I think, much integrated in that sense. I mean,
That's true. And Gemini, of course, is also about community and about siblings and things like that. So there's a sense there of maybe trying to, forge connections with community, actually, sort of spiritual connections, since they rule the Pisces, and to find some meaning in that sense as well. And perhaps, looking closer to home, rather than planning our holidays abroad at this point, and just deciding, where can we actually make a difference locally as well with this, I
yeah, in
think.
any case, Mars in Cancer is like, in a way, it's like also asking to like all channel your energy and all that stuff back to your home, back to
Yes.
where you feel home, where back to your family
Yeah.
and everything. So in that sense, it's like it all brings back us to family and all that kind of stuff as well. I think it's, I mean, we can we can always, I mean, I am completely against sugar coating, but I think that we can always find some positive sides that could improve for improving ourselves, improving around, and improving
Gosh,
the, in a way,
definitely.
the world. I mean, yeah, yeah.
And the Mars trines all those planets in Pisces as well. So it does, yeah, it does. You're right. It does kind of direct our energy in that direction. And so the energy, so the Mars, in fact, actually connects the signs of Aries and Pisces, doesn't it? In the way that it trines that stellium in Pisces and it rules the stellium in Aries. So so it makes community in this sense very key, community and tribe and family, and protecting ourselves, protecting people that are close to us, and just trying to sort of distribute love around, really. I think in that sense, it's emotional, it's about feeling same time.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think it's, in that sense, it's a uh, I think it's nice that
Yeah, okay, so
they now, like, can you imagine that there would be people like, okay, that from this charge that they came to this point, how did that? But I mean, it's like, it's in a way, I mean, I think it's also asking to see some the beauty. I mean, like, it's like seeing the potential. No, it's like, what is it? I mean, when we are looking at this, as I said, it's the natal chart of a child. That's why I get very emotional, like, when I see it's the birth chart of someone. I mean, like, it's like that there would be a child or many children that would be born at this point. I mean, so it's like the birth chart. So that also brings me all that care. I mean, like, when we are doing, but it's like, really, I mean, like, there is a lot of potential. And why do we uh, make natal chart sessions or all these sessions? Because we try to find the potential that is not seen, but or that is known, but
yeah,
it is not told, or you sometimes know things, but when someone tells you, okay, you know that it's, oh, yeah, it's like, revelation. No, that's the
yeah,
revelation
definitely.
point,
When
I
you look
think.
at a natal chart, and you're right, yes, of course, potentially, yeah, this could be a really exciting chart, actually, with the Aries and the Pisces. It could be somebody who was, a real pioneer in a spiritual sense, or all kinds of things. Yeah.
And still, I mean, if you think, it's still after the solar eclipse, it's still the
Hmm.
new moon. That could
Mm.
be someone that could, like, you know make lead things. Of course, it's Aries, maybe in their own way, my way, highway, Aries, that kind of thing. But it could be someone that would be like bring something new to the world. I
Yes.
mean, like with
A
all
new
the
kind of
Neptune in
leadership.
Aries. Yes, exactly. I mean, it's like, and also, I mean, I think that leadership, when we think about Mars in Cancer, would be caring about like in mundane level. It will be because it's moon.
Yeah,
This
it's the
will
people.
care the people. It would be
Mm.
caring about the people. I mean, like, so it's. I think maybe it will require fight, but not in the sense that fist fight we are talking about. Maybe it's a spiritual fight. You have to, I mean, like sometimes to take things, you have to
Hmm.
fight for it. But
Yeah.
it won't be like fight, as I said, like battlefield fight, but it's a different fight. But I think this person can make that fight, and then maybe like 30 years later, we will see someone that will be rising out of this chart, and will be some important person leading different things in the world. I mean.
That would be great. I hope I'm around to see that.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully I'm also around. Yeah, yeah, I think that,
Okay, so we've decided there's a lot of positivity in that chart, which is good. Good, good. I do like that. And there's positivity, let's be fair, in every chart because when we look at the symbols, they're archetypes, they mean a whole range of things. There's never going to be any, there's nothing there that's intrinsically sort of bad in any chart. It's just, some of the things can be challenging, of course, but still, yeah, there's lots of
yeah,
lots of positive
challenging. I
stuff there
think, I think
too.
challenging is sometimes, and this one I'm now seeing that this one to be a kite. I'm just looking at the thing. All of a sudden, it came with the Uranus, etc. But it didn't happen. Anyway, so I mean, it's like challenge. I mean, like I was telling the other day, I think that when the full moon, like the Mars is like was conjuncting the moon, and then of course opposing the sun, etc. And I said that like, and also the Chiron was like the, that the charioteer that is
Mhm.
holding the duo. And I was
Yeah.
saying that, but it's like you need that frustration sometimes, no? If you don't get
Yes.
frustrated,
Yeah. Yes.
everything is
Very
rose
true.
garden,
Yeah.
voila. So it's like I stay, it makes you lazy, but sometimes the challenges, etc., makes you move. I mean, like you have to, because you don't want to get, you want to get out of that frustration. So what do? You fight against, you move, you use your energy in a way so that you are out of it. When I'm comfortable, why do I move? I mean, tell me a reason for that. No.
True.
So
Shall we
that's it.
do a quick run through the slide through the houses? I'm aware that time's
And
getting on a bit.
I will stop sharing, okay?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
Which is that not that houses, the houses that in terms of Neptune we were talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Okay, okay,
Neptune
okay,
through
okay.
the houses.
Okay, Neptune in Aries through the houses. Okay, so
So
let
wherever it is in your chart. So if you have, yeah, Neptune rising, sorry, Aries rising, it'll be in probably in the first house, that kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, that yeah, okay. Do you want to go? I'm
Why
always
not?
asking you, do you want to go?
Okay. So if you have Aries rising, then you're probably somebody who goes out fearlessly into the world, unless there's an issue with your Mars, which we would need to look at your chart to look at. Then you're going to be someone who's going to be out there. You're quite extrovert. And so Neptune moving in there, instead of being focused on your goals are maybe going to become much more idealistic, I think, or you're going to act much more on your ideals. Perhaps they're changing a little bit as well. Um, and to be honest, sometimes when Neptune first moves into the first house, it can be a bit of a confusing time as well, because it feels like we're trying to kind of see through a bit of a fog sometimes. Neptune can be a bit misty, sometimes things aren't clear. So perhaps, especially with Aries, which is used to be being very decisive and outgoing, um, so it can cause a period of uncertainty, but probably the thing to do here is to just kind of roll with it, work through it, and look at how Neptune is trying to refocus your approach to the world to perhaps be more idealistic and be more compassionate. Maybe it's time for that now, and to change how you view things a little bit.
And in that sense, I mean, before, yeah, that's because it may, of course, it will the it may touch the ascendant. I mean, like it depends on the which Aries degree of Aries rising you have. So in that sense, it's like changing the life view, life approach, maybe making a confusion about that. Uh, I was going to say yes, Neptune is confusing. I was ready to say something because okay, Neptune in Aries. So I mean, like we said that it's ruled by Mars. So I think in that sense, when we are looking at our natal charts and effect of that, it's always good to also look at the Mars.
Yeah.
Where is our Mars in our natal charts, and in which sign, in which house, so in which area of life it
Mhm.
is affecting, and also it is ruling which areas of lives as well, depending on like if our ascendant is like it's like the chart ruler, so it's the first one, and after that Aries, and then the Scorpio, it's like the uh, seventh no,
Yeah, I think we might be
seventh, yeah.
confusing people a bit, Terry.
Yeah, okay, I got confused also as well. Anyway, so I mean, like, but it's important to look at our natal Mars as well. I think it's really important to understand the
It
Neptune
is.
areas. I
It is.
mean,
But
in that
just to
sense.
give a kind of global idea of how it might look in the houses,
Yeah,
people might not know how to look at their own Mars. So,
yeah. We should be. I think that could be an ideal also. Know that everyone learns astrology. Yeah, it
well,
can be
yeah,
nice.
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, we wish so. And so in the second house, Neptune in Aries. Okay, so second house is about our resources.
Yeah.
It can be about income, but it can be our values,
Hmm.
and it can be about also our like self-esteem as well at the same time. So
Yeah.
when we are thinking about Neptune in Aries going through that area of our lives, we can think about like maybe some we could have had those, I mean, like kind of dreams and kind of inspirations that have been there all our life to create different type of resources, but maybe
Hmm.
when Neptune in Aries, it's like the green light is coming, and then you can maybe act on them, and then you can be just more maybe assertive about those dreams, whatever, to create that
Yeah.
kind of resources as well.
Yeah, it might bring a more spiritual approach to your values. And, you might start to look at your resources and think about and your values and think about maybe how you can use those in a more sort of compassionate way as well, I think. You might decide to, I don't know, start buying things, maybe not from Amazon, but from smaller shops, or you might decide to change jobs and work in something that's, not in the city, but move to do astrology or something like that, Terry, because that can happen. Where you kind of see that actually, you need a more idealistic approach to how you earn your living and which will make you then feel better about your own sort of self-esteem as well, I think. Yeah.
Third house.
And the third house, which is communication, community, our siblings. So I think in this house, you might even be drawn to kind of non-verbal forms of communication, really, like painting or expressing yourself through that. And there can be a link, I think, as well with these kinds of planets, oddly, with IT, because it's a sort of almost unseen communication thing. I know people with Mercury and Pisces who are really good at IT and stuff, just because they have this kind of brain that feels its way into things. So it could also bring that out in something. But again, it's bringing stuff into the community, perhaps. Your local community, maybe finding ways in which you can be more active and more helpful in that community, establishing deeper connections to your local community, and maybe with your siblings as well, and taking action to help them in some way, support
Yeah,
them.
it could be. I mean, yeah, that's possible. I mean, like, yeah. When we come to the fourth house, the family, Neptune in Aries, I wonder it's like a check on the boundaries that we have
That's
with the
interesting.
that
Yes.
we have the I mean like with the family, with the home, and everything related with the fourth house, with the past also. I mean like it's like
Mm,
sometimes it's like maybe it could be a time like you re-evaluate, I mean, all those boundaries, and
yeah.
then I think it's like in a way you are trying to establish yourself, and I mean, like it's like Neptune in Pisces. It's like from that, like okay, the empathy and everything coming, that compassion, and then it's like now it's like I have to, I mean, maybe find a way to find a place for myself.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, that
Yeah.
kind of thing I think can happen as well. Or like also sometimes it could be just connecting yourself, ourselves, uh, more maybe spiritually to the past, to the ancestors,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everyone
That's
like
true.
that. Also, it could be a time
Hmm.
to find about as well. I mean, when we think about, because as we know, I mean, like they call it like fourth, eighth, and 12 are the like the karmic houses, and
Hmm.
then or everything related with the parents, I mean, like grandparents, and then
Mm.
all the ancestors, and then the history behind that. So I think it could be a good time for that as well.
Yeah, I think that's true. And just actually coming back to the second with our resources, I'm just thinking actually that Neptune there might mean that our resources are suddenly a little bit confusing and we're not quite sure where the money's coming from at some point. So, that
It
might be
it,
something we need to work through.
it can go and come.
Hmm.
I mean, like
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes. Going out and coming in with, yeah, exactly. Very true.
Yeah,
So in the fifth house, it's, this is about how you express yourself. So really Neptune there is about imagination, about all the kinds of things like film and painting, photography, dance, all those kinds of ways
yeah,
of expressing yourself in non-verbal forms, I think, as well. So maybe you start putting yourself out there a bit more in Aries in an artistic way, and it's time to actually give your art and your imagination out to the world in some kind of form. It could also be about your family, maybe dreams of starting a family, something like that, maybe starting to take action on that a little bit.
yeah,
Or
because children
maybe,
yeah,
yeah, as well, maybe you're making sacrifices for your kids. One of them is a super talented, I don't know, ballet dancer or something. So you're all going to move closer to this ballet school or something like that. Yeah, so all those things I think could come into that.
yeah, that's true. I mean, like, yeah, especially Neptune's, like that we have mentioned all these visual arts, etc. It could be interesting period, especially for the people who are in that type of area that are already like can be, I mean, like artists, etc. It
Mm,
could be a really good time for them to show themselves, not in a Leo way, but in an Aries way, to make that step
mm.
forward
Yeah.
to show themselves to the world. I mean, so in the sixth house, I'm all the time thinking like sixth house. I mean, sometimes I think it could make either make confusion in the work environment that we are working. No, it's like
Hmm.
the place.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the maybe daily life, especially if we think about the health and everything, again we can come to the sacrifice point. It could be the case that I mean like I mean like for example I have high cholesterol. I have to take action. No, I mean to I
Yeah.
have to make sacrifice. I have to cut eating this, that, blah blah, and then lose
Yeah.
weight and but it's not in my 6 hours, so too late. But it's like for the people it could be like that. I mean, or you have another, I mean, like hopefully not important condition, but something like that that forces you exercise also, run,
Yeah.
etc. No, it's like very areas thing, because you have to make the sacrifice maybe to get your health back in a way. I think it can be 6,000 about, it can be about that too.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point actually. And then again, it can be about bringing the spiritual aspects into your everyday life as well. Something like that, but also, I think it's kind of bouncing off what Terry said, making sure you don't get too flaky with it because you still have to in the sixth house make sure you look after your body and put those things in place to make sure that you're actually doing what you need to take care of yourself as well.
Yeah. Seventh
So
house.
in the seventh house, I mean, there we're in our one-to-one relationships. Yeah, Neptune, it could be a deepening of relationships, a kind of spiritual deepening of relationships. There can also be with Neptune in the seventh house, that you start to have to make some sacrifices for your relationship or something, something happens that might sort of come in and require you to look again at your goals and maybe you know they change a little bit. You have to beware of rose-tinted glasses when Neptune's in the seventh. Somebody might come into your life who seems kind of super glamorous, and you rush off to get married in wherever it is, that place in America. I can't remember.
Las Vegas,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
the one.
no.
And then suddenly discovered, yeah, which would probably be quite Neptunian actually. Discover that that wasn't a great idea at all. But then on the other hand, sometimes actually we need the power of that dream to move us out of something where that we're stuck in. And Neptune in the seventh can do that too. The power of a dream can move you forward, in Aries especially. And it might be that once you're in this dream, it's not quite as dreamy as it was, but still, it might give you something that you can work with, and it might be an important thing in your life. I think that's what happened when we moved to France, actually, Neptune on the seventh, and sort of this great rush of a dream and moving and establishing something new. And then, once you're there, it's not quite so dreamy, but actually, there's a lot here, so we need to then buckle down and make it work because that's what you have to
I,
do with dreams in the
yeah,
end.
I think so. I think uh, I think with sacrifice, I think sometimes taking risks in a way come together because I can tell from myself. Of course, I didn't. The Neptune wasn't in Aries. I mean, transiting. It was in Pisces, and I started studying astrology. I mean, like really, because I was grown up in a house that there was astrology, but I never had a formal education. And during my Neptune square, the Neptune was in my seventh house, and I decided to connect something that is more spiritual and then
Mm,
make that kind of relation. I mean, like, I think that is like that is alter motive in a way. I mean, like that. And then that's the time that I started astrology. Of course, it's like illusion can turn, there's always risk. Like this, like that illusion
yeah.
can turn into some kind of delusion, but it's like I think for the moment at least that illusion is going on. It's like keeping because you have to work on it.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like also, I mean, I think maybe with Aries, I mean, of course it's a cardinal sign. There's this like starting, that's because it's like, there is kind of energy sometimes like, it's wonderful, let's start this, let's do this, etc. But the important thing is that is holding on tight to whatever
Yes.
it is. I mean, like, because starting you may, but the continuing and then like uh, in a way grounding it, making that foundation really
Mhm.
good, I think it's always in our hands. I mean, so I think when we are starting something, we have to think, do we have the enough materials to fill under that,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I think in that sense, I think we can think all about that. I mean, seventh house, like making those uh, I mean, like establishing those relationships. It can be anything. It can be business relationships also. I mean, like
That's
that.
true.
But
Yeah.
it's like, so I think we have to think uh, the next step. not staying at the start point, I mean, in that sense.
And the eighth house, Terry, I think that was you actually.
I talked about so much eighth house. Yeah, eighth house. I think eighth house when we are thinking about. I mean, of course, we have the shared resources as well.
Hmm.
I mean, like here, I mean, like what we talk about, like those relationship, business relationship kind of thing, or normal, I mean, like daily relationships that we have can be in a way reflected as the shared resources in the eighth house. Again, I mean, like that could be about like you can also start something new. I mean, with the money of others, like you can get a loan or get kind of thing, but you have to set the boundaries there, not getting
Hmm.
over your head. No, that's the expression. It's like because the moment that it is like this, then you are just like in debt. We come to the tax and debt side of the 8,000 in that sense. And also, I think it could be the part that, I mean, there is the idea of death in the eighth house, but we are, it, it's not necessarily the physical one, but it's more, it could be about like that, like this ending things, and Neptune in Aries is like starting new things. So that's kind of cycle. I mean, the like life cycle can happen also in when Neptune in Aries comes into our eighth house as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and again, something quite sort of basic, like, literal, like starting a charity or some kind of, association or something like that with a partner, with your partner could be, something compassionate with Neptune in the eighth, I think. And then as you move on to the ninth, so it's about long distance travel, about meaning, about religion and faith, and finding all those things through our spiritual lives, I think. So if you've got Aries there, you're going to be someone who maybe wants to go out and get, all that stuff. You find meaning in the idea that you're moving and you're active and then suddenly perhaps, you slow down a little bit and there's more spirituality comes in. You bring the religion more into yourself and perhaps the long journeys aren't such a big deal anymore, but you're trying to integrate that into how you feel and your values. I think it's quite difficult in the ninth. Or you might start, it's about further education. You might start your dream course and start to study something or study something that's sort of Neptunian in a sense, like Teri's astrology, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, I think.
Yeah, but there's yeah, that's true. I mean, like that's a higher education or that's a new course. But also, I think what I'm thinking, like there is also this kind of broadcasting, publishing, and everything
True. Yeah,
related
that's very true,
like that.
actually.
So
Hmm.
I think it could be the start point of your dreams coming to the press. Like for the writers, I think it could be a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, like to launch themselves. I mean, to say that like I'm here, and then it could be a nice time, or like it's like as I said, broadcasting. I mean, like in the sense that I'm like, of course, there is now with this technology, like we are on everywhere, but it's like all these podcasts and everything is part of that also broadcasting as well. So I think
Hmm.
depends where you want to put assert yourself in terms of in Neptunian terms, let's say, I mean, out to the world.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so in the 10th, I mean, the 10th can be about our mothers for a start. So, I mean, that could be interesting. Something to do with our mothers and maybe connecting more deeply to them, I think. But also, I mean, mostly it's about our public lives. So Neptune coming in there in Aries does suggest that either something very glamorous happens to us, and we get that dream job, as it were, or yeah, or we decide to do something actively compassionate again, make sacrifices or because in that house, it can mean that publicly people start to see us as more spiritual for whatever reason, for something that we're doing, perhaps.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
like it's a in a way getting visibility and then getting this recognition in the society. I mean, like, I think when we think about the 10th house, and then you do it through the
Yeah.
Neptune in Aries as well. And coming to that also, what came to my mind, because I talk and things come to my mind also during the transits in the houses. Also, maybe the people need to keep in mind that these things that we are talking about could be happening directly to ourselves, but it could be about the people that are related to us. I mean, like, when we are talking about, like, as Alison mentioned, third house siblings, that
Mhm.
effect we may see in the life of a sibling, or 10th
Yes.
house also.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we can see in the, like, if we are associating it with one of the parents or mother, specifically, it may not happening to us,
Hmm.
what we told, but it
Yeah.
could be happening to our mother as well. So I think that's a secret. I mean, it's like, that didn't happen to me, like, because I mean, like, it's it's to
Yeah.
someone else maybe. That's also, it's good to keep in mind. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really important actually. And I was going to say something else there, something maybe about the idea of the dream job or getting the dream job
Yeah, 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 that could be.
finally,
That's
I think. Yeah. Yeah. And the 11th house,
11th
community,
house.
society, community on a broader scale.
Also, it's our house of ideals and dreams at the
Yeah,
same time.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Hopes and wishes. Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
so it's like,
Is that me? It's the Aquarius house. Naturally, it's the house of Aquarius, so it is about society and wider society, and I always think of it as about the planet as a whole, actually. So how that relates to us, I think, if you've got Aries there, oh no, when I was thinking about the 10th, actually, I was also thinking about leadership in Aries, actually, and the
yeah,
idea
please
of
share.
that spiritual or compassionate leader you know, in that with that 10th house thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah,
it's so society and how we interact, how our personal spiritual ideals interact with that society in a way that we can make things happen, perhaps. Yeah. Even if it's going and campaigning for something or, you know, joining Greenpeace or something. I don't know what it is, but I think it's very much about the planet actually there too and what we bring to it, though, definitely.
yeah. It's also, I mean, the groups and the friends. It can be the start of, like, this initiation of some kind of uh, new groups that is more related with maybe the spirituality, or
Yeah,
it's like or it can be like a meditation group or something, like, I mean, like
that's very true.
inspirational. I mean, something inspirational that they will give some
Yeah,
kind of inspiration, that kind of thing. I think it could be the start of the um during the Neptune in Aries in the 11th house. Coming to the 12th house, 12th house will be like, it's like 12th house, because it's like, it's not about us anymore. I mean, like, it's about us, but it's not about us. It's like complete, I think, confusion, because we are telling that it's like Neptune in Aries, like, now we have to focus on ourselves, on our dreams, on our ideas, etc. But the 12th house, then
well,
we
it's
have to
how,
find a way to integrate everyone to our dreams, and ourselves to everyone else. I mean, it's like a quite um entangled in a way. I mean, like, it's like, because you want to express your individuality in a way, with the areas, but
hmm.
you're in a place that there is this, the collective is there. I mean, like, how do you do that then? Through your dreams, ideals, like the 10th house, spiritual leader, that can be a place of a spiritual leader as well, maybe. I mean, like that, because it's like, I don't want to say
Yeah,
cult. I don't like, but it's like, it's like you are forming maybe a society that is for
I
you. You
think
start
it's
from yourself, and open it to the others. I mean, in a way,
Yeah,
something like
that's
that. I
true.
mean, like kind of a retreat, or I don't know, some
Yeah.
wellness center, or I don't know, like yoga meditation, something like that. And then it's like because first it comes from you, and then it goes all to the I mean the collective, and you can reach through that whatever you are building up. It's like the
Hmm.
that constructing uh, can in the end like expand to all the collective, I mean, in the end.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. The whole idea of the meditation retreats, and just of the need for retreat personally, your energy might feel very diffuse in that time and you might need to retreat. But it's also about service, isn't it? The 12th house is about service as well, as is the sixth. Spiritual service. I mean, goodness, maybe you even go and enter something more dramatic like a monastery or something like that, or but more dramatic retreat. But I'm also thinking about people like doctors and medics and people who, I mean, people who go and serve in countries where there's war, even not just the people, the medical people, but the people who are
There
just
is
dealing with resources and
that
trying to work with
yeah,
refugees and
yeah, reminded me like this Doctors Without Borders or something like that. It feels
exactly
like
that
that.
kind
No,
of
yeah,
thing.
that
Yeah,
there is
yeah,
something like that. I mean, you use that kind of your I mean skills and etc. so that you
yeah,
can just serve to everyone else. I mean, and that's I think very, I mean, kind of very 12th house
hmm,
thing. I mean that
yeah,
stuff. I mean, like, yeah, that's interesting. I think
yeah.
it can be. I mean, like, it's like also we have to. It could be about some sacrifices and everything that we have to make. Maybe. I mean, like, again, it comes to that one finding one in self. How do you do
Yeah,
that? I
yeah,
mean,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
So we made it. We got to the end.
We made it. Me getting confused. We are getting confused from time to time. Where are we? Where is it the Neptune, etc.? I mean, like it's like that's the part of the. I think it's the. I'm very organized, but I think this Neptune like put me also. I think I prepare so many things. I was like, there is the discovery chart. There is that chart. Jupiter in Gemini. I think that has a big impact on that. Like you want to collect all the sources, and then you are like,
Yeah.
what do I do with this data? I mean, why did I collect them? I mean, I have all these ingresses, etc., in, out, retrogrades, etc. I think in the end, yeah, we made it. We made it. Neptune in Aries. Let's see what you are going to bring to us, and also when you also go and make that very big conjunction in 2026 with Saturn, what will come out of that?
And we can talk
So,
about that next time, another
yeah,
time, I think. But it's definitely
yeah,
about.
yeah, next time maybe we can talk about really Saturn in Aries because Saturn will go into the Aries in
Yeah,
May. May,
absolutely, Terry. Let's do that. I'll think about
yeah,
that.
yeah. So I mean, like we can do that as well. So that was Neptune in Aries with all its confusion, with all its dreams, ideals, and then images that is coming to our minds and hopefully to your minds. What would you like to say, Alison? Last time, do you have
Yeah, no,
anything coming up?
absolutely. I think
Yeah,
think that's a great way to finish it. And yeah, thanks for listening.
yeah. Thank you. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.
Thanks, Terry. Thank you. Bye-bye.